Hi, and welcome to the Scientistsage Sangha. I'm Nancy Anderson Dolan, and I'm with Wise Heart Wellness. We're so happy to have you here tonight, and we are talking about slow. And I've had lots of interesting comments already since that email went out. And what I want to clarify here is slow is different for everybody. And so it really is about getting aligned with what your pace is, your comfortable pace. And we use the word slow because most of the time we are encouraged and I would almost say forced in lots of ways to move at other people's pace. And usually that's not slow. They're wanting us to go faster. And that we live in such a culture that is really, really pushing speed. Like speed is better, speed is more. When you do it faster, you are somehow a better person, you're smarter. But the whole feel of it is that we don't have enough time for what's important for us. And then so we have to really, we end up reacting to so many things. And it may change based on just, the next advertisement we see or the next phone call we get, all sorts of things that encourage us to go faster and faster. So it's really challenging in our sort of speed addicted society to go, wait a minute, maybe I should slow down a bit. But wait, I can't wait. I can't wait a minute. I have to keep going. And so we never sort of settle into the idea that slow might be a worthwhile plan. And some people get to it at different points in their lives, and some people never do. And now, though, I was just listening to something my own teacher, Sandra Ingerman, had posted, and she was talking about asking the question about how is this how I want to use my energy? And that was really interesting. And then they were talking about across a number of different platforms and understandings and some research, there's this feeling that people want to take a second look at what they've been doing and slow it down a bit. COVID slowed all of us down without our consent, but lots of people from that made some different life decisions, like we were forced to take some time and reconsider how we were being in the world and reconsider the kind of work we did and reconsider the kind of pace we move at. And so it's interesting that at this time, and these two were talking about that they don't feel the guidance to do things at the pace they had been doing them for maybe even a decade before, that something had changed and they were being encouraged to go slower than the pace that they had been able to comfortably work out previously. And then they were talking about all the energies that are coming at us now, and whether that is through media, like reports about war and violence and unrest, or just things like marketing, and whether we actually even see it or not, there is all this energy thrown out there all the time, all day long, 24/7 around the world. And more people are putting that out there, and the energy is getting more intense. And when I was looking at it that way, it's like, wow, really, really important to slow down and decide, how do I want to be in the world? How do I want to experience the world? What's my interface with the world like? And I can't do that unless I slow down. And otherwise, I just have that reactivity that's built into things, and I just go to the next thing. So it's tricky to even think about slowing down. And part of it is, well, do I do what I normally do at a different pace? Or do I stop doing things? Or, do I radically opt out? And the answer is maybe to all of those things. But there's a way of being in what we're doing, whatever it is, that is different and feels like a different pace. When we have in the back of our head, I don't feel like I have enough time, then we don't have enough time. And when I think in the back of my head, I'm going to do what time allows, and I'm going to watch it and see how it changes and see how I feel guided to move forwards. So this slowing thing is a lot about tuning into ourselves as much as anything, not clocking how we compare to somebody else, like literally stepping out of comparison culture so that I can find my own pace, what's best for me. One of the things about it is like, why should I do that? I might not get as much done. I won't get the money accumulated or the jobs that I want, or, you know, and really, number one, it's really healing. It's healing for your nervous system. It's healing for your body. It's healing for your heart. It's healing for your brain. So it's very healing to go at a pace that doesn't feel hurried. And that what that is depends on what your nervous system is. And if your nervous system has been pushed hard for a long time, then often we feel like it's too much. And if it hasn't, if it's been, somebody raised out in the wilderness or even, on a farm where things are more relaxed. I was at a farm in a Mennonite community last weekend, and it didn't feel rushed there. It just felt like I could just meander in there, and they didn't say, what time exactly will you be here? And I would say, in my words, the way I work with time, around this time. And they're like, okay, good. Around that time works for us. And so this different relationship to time even is part of the feeling of speed and or not being rushed. So, but getting off that fast track isn't easy because our brains actually get acclimatized to the speed. And so we can literally feel it like a drug because the adrenaline, what it moves in our body, the dopamine, it increases. And sometimes when we step away from that, we feel like we've lost something and that we're craving something. It's really interesting to see people, and they want to relax and they go on holidays and then they book 14 trips on the side to do things. And then they come back and they don't feel that relaxed. But it's really challenging because we're taking this break from work, say, going on the holiday, but I need to see all these things. I want to have this full experience of this place that I've gone to and the money I've spent, so I better hurry up and do it. And so it's so easy to get sucked into this. The Buddhists call it the realm of the hungry ghosts. And literally, it's like the ghosts are going along and they are grabbing things and devouring them, but they never feel satiated. And they're always like, what's the next thing I can devour? And our society has sort of bred us to be like that. Like, if I achieve something, what else am I going to do? People will literally say, well, oh, what are you going to do now? And I'm like, lay down. Actually, that's what I'm doing now. And I recently went through a cycle of about 17 days of working straight. I don't think I've done that in quite a long time. There was a lot of laying down working, literally laying down working, sitting in a hotel, laying down with the dog, sitting in bed, doing some stuff on my computer, and then just sitting. And the pace of it, I was like, wow, I'm tired because I'm certainly not used to that. But it was okay. It was really interesting. With this new dog that I picked up, I had to be very slow and attentive. So I had some outside coaching about that. It wasn't like I just did it on my own. It was the situation demanded it. And it was, I don't need to rush around. Somebody said, well, what are you going to see while you're down there? I'm like, a dog. That's what I'm seeing. I'm not going to any tourist things. I'm just going to get a dog and spend time with the dog. And it was so good to have that ahead of time because there were things that caught my eye. Like, oh, maybe I'd like to do that. And what about this? And I'm like, no, not now. Not now. If I need to, I'll get back there. And it was a new thing for me because that hasn't always been my set point. But literally, there's the quote from Lily Tomlin that is, for fast acting relief, try slowing down. And I love that because we want relief really fast from whatever we're in. But the slowing down part is where the relief is really found in the long term. So once we get past that discomfort of not being constantly racing towards something else, then we sort of have some relief and choices we didn't know we had. And that experience of moving slowly or having room to breathe, that sort of thing, you might notice that's what we've been missing. Like, oh, I would like that. because we can do things slowly and do really similar to how we've been doing them, but not with the pressure and not with the rushing. And we can do them where we go, I don't know if I want to spend my energy this way. Maybe I don't need to have the best cut lawn in the neighborhood. Maybe I could let it grow for a couple of weeks. But sifting through our different kinds of things of what we're doing, feeling joyful is one of the things that if I'm going slow in a pace that is aligned for me, there is this experience of feeling things more deeply and being more joyful. That feeling is the one to sort of mark when you are, am I aligned yet? Because if people work really hard, really quickly at getting aligned, it's going to escape them. It literally has to be this ongoing, oh, can I make this adjustment here? And so it is very much like a number of things that we've talked about. We have to have intentions first about, why I want to do it and how I'm going to do it. Just a moment. I'm having a fight with the clipboard below your level of viewing. It's okay, I won. Now, the idea of multitasking, and some people have a lovely flow through multitasking, but the majority of us are actually taking more time to do things because we have to start and restart things that we're doing. I was saying in the last few weeks that I felt like my brain had too many tabs open, like my computer, because I had many diverse tasks to work on. And the only way that I could manage it was to slow down, literally, as I walk into the next room, literally saying, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? And I might say that lots of times because I've forgotten what I'm doing in the next room. But this was a check-in just to, what am I doing here? And it was, I am not cleaning up the entire room. I came out here to get a paper clip. I don't need to do anything else. And so clarifying that sort of thing, because my dopamine response that I like to get is checking a whole bunch of things off the list. And so if I go into a room and I see some, cup on the coffee table, or, needs a vacuum, or there's pillow on the floor, I will tend towards those things. But if I do it in the way of, what am I doing here? Then I could go and clean the living room later in one fell swoop. And it would be very different than this distraction from what I was out there to do. So there's lots of reasons that people go slow, but we talked about the first thing about health, because your body actually lives faster when you're hurrying. And so when you hurry, you don't live as long. That's like the research across the board for people that are centenarians, is that they come to life a little differently. And so that there aside, but being able to actually define and find and maintain a personal balance in life is one of the reasons people really choose to go slower in life. Because first of all, I find out what it is I really like and want. And then I find out, how can I make this happen? And then it's like, wow, I can actually maintain this. I'm not working above my level all the time. So I don't get those big dips and starts. And so it's really, really useful to understand that that's what I do as I go slower. I'm defining how I want to be, what's it going to be like, how can I make that happen? And then we get to drop out of that comparison culture. If someone else does it faster, maybe that's good for them. And that may be their slow even. And it's a revolutionary act. The saying that I've got in my head was, hell no, we want slow. I think we should have a march that does that. Hell no, we want slow. But it really is a bit of a revolutionary act. And so we need to be ready for other people's opinions about that sort of thing. And we want to value our quality of life, because we often go for quantity of life, like going on that holiday and trying to see every, tourist site possible. And to do things that come along in life that are really natural. In the email that I sent out, the woman told the story of grieving her teenage daughter's death and really taking the time for it. Grief is not an inconvenience. Grief is not something that happens on a couple of days off. Grief is something that is a process that can grow us and heal us and evolve us if we take the time. And we have new opportunities all the time to take the time. And it might be, getting an illness of our own or losing another person or pet or something in our lives. So we keep getting invited into the process of grief, but in our society right now, we don't take time for it. We want it to be done fast. And it's even been pathologized by, if you are grieving beyond this many days, then you are somehow pathologically grieving. And it's like, oh my goodness, how can that be? Everybody has their own pace. And because it does help us clear out things that we haven't grieved before, we don't want to interrupt somebody's process in that way. So the pace of things ties into these natural life movements as well. And if we don't pay attention, we don't have a quality of life that is naturally going to come to us otherwise. The other big thing that I was saying about was decision making, because when we make fast decisions, it can cause problems. It is that impulsivity and reactivity a lot of the time. But when we make a decision and then we live it, and then we think, okay, I'm going to make another decision, and it might be quite different that time, or it might be a recommitment to the original decision. This is life moving through us again. We are like, oh, here I am in life, and I'm paying attention, and I'm not in a train wreck. I'm just like, oh, I guess I'm going this direction now. And I work with lots of people to get to that point. And we don't come to it naturally in our society. We want to make the one for once and forever decision. This is the right house. This is the right job. This is the right partner. And life changes. And if we don't move with it, if we are moving slowly, we will move with that. But if we're moving too quickly and married to that kind of idea where I don't need to pay attention to life, I've already set the course and it will go there until I drop, So those two big things come to the idea of like really savoring life. So when people report being unhappy in life, often it is, how much do you savor it? How much are you in the moment, or how much are you rushing to the next moment? That's one of the things that I look for first for myself, and I ask clients to look for, because then I'm in that nice flow and I can hit some peacefulness and maintain it, even if difficult things are going on, whether it's, working a whole bunch at once or having some difficult things to face in life. We can move through them if we're present. If we're not, we bury them down and it's work you got to do later and it gets harder and bigger. So the idea of embracing ordinary moments, but they don't have to be spectacular. I don't have to be on a holiday at a tourist attraction. I can, where I live, look up and see the Rocky Mountains all lit up from the sunset, and it's an amazing moment. And I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to take time. I just have to slow down. So all those sorts of things, and there's so many more, we don't have time to go into them. But the way of getting there, I want to touch on before we move into a bit of a contemplation. Literally, it is about how are we going to move into it? And again, the intention is always first. And even, move at the speed you're moving at. But notice, like, oh, that felt a little rushed. I was gulping down dinner so I could get out to a meeting. Those kinds of things. The other things are actual technical things, like the heart math things that teach us to breathe slowly through our hearts, that actually slows your brain down. And then your brain goes, ah, and it breaks out of that addictive mode of being addicted to speed when you do that breathing consistently. And the time we take then to take self-reflection, on Friday or on Saturday, I took a day, an entire 9 to 5 day, and sat with another person, another counselor, and we just sort of reflected about how the last year had been, and the kinds of things we want to be involving ourselves in our time going into the next year. A whole day for reflection on that. And most of us don't do that. We take a little time at around New Year's usually, make a couple of commitments, not really fleshing them out or considering how they're going to play out, but literally taking time. And whether that is taking time at night to journal or in the morning about what your day might be like, but just this idea of transitioning consciously and taking the time to move through that in a different way. And that doesn't matter, like say, what the cycle is or what the event is, or that doesn't matter so much as the idea of I'm taking time to consider my life and then move forward in a way that is consistent with the things that I want to feel and do in my life. And one of the questions that I like to do is asking, what am I doing right now? Like, what am I actually doing here? And so often, if I get caught up in like playing computer games or rushing around my house doing dishes, I go, wait a minute, what do I really want to be doing today? Oh, okay, I haven't played with the puppy yet. My puppy's only going to be a puppy for a very short time. I need to play with the puppy. And I will take that moment. Or I will often I'll get things that really actually need to happen that I was rushing around and miss. I'm like, honey, I think you need to pay that bill, or you have a library book that really has to go back. And those kinds of things pop up when we take the time and space. So it isn't that we stop doing anything or stop paying attention to things. It's actually easier to pay attention when we're going slower. One last thing from a lovely wise woman I was talking to today is enough is enough. That's what she says. She just sits and says, enough is enough. I've cleaned my house enough. I have enough clothing. I do not need to shop. I have, enough time to do this. Enough is enough. And I love that, just that little mantra that could slow me down a lot without, if I think about, oh no, but I should do that thing. Okay, does it have to happen? Does it have to happen right now? Is this, am I in the right space for it? Can I relax and do it? So I put up on my wall behind the camera I'm looking in a little block letters that say relax. I'm like, all right, I don't have to rush. So when I was getting ready to go tonight, I just relaxed. I'm like, oh, if there's a technical problem, I will work it out and we will enjoy the humor of that. If there is, something that needs to be done before, it'll come up, or it didn't need to be done. So I really hope that you can open up to this idea of taking some space and time to think about how you want to be in your life. What kind of pace do you want to keep? And it might be this, oh, I'm going to have this intense time, and then I'm going to plan to slow it right down. Maybe this intense time, like if somebody's going to have a baby, they're going to have a baby. They can't reschedule that. And it's going to be an intense time. So they're going to plan that, like, oh, how can I plan for after the baby comes to have some support, maybe, so to slow things down? Or maybe I'm just going to lay in bed with the baby and I'm not going to worry about keeping the carpet clean. So it really helps to consider transitions particularly and see what you might be interested in doing with them. So let's just do a little actual live moment and really relax, put your feet up, whatever you want to do to feel comfortable. And I'm going to invite you into feeling how it feels in your body. So to consider in your daily life, where are the places that you might be able and interested in exploring slowing down? And it might be that if I want to slow down first thing in the morning and continue to breathe slow and low as you think about this, so your brain doesn't speed up into planning how to be slow. We just want to keep our brains at that slow pace. Yeah. Just look at what it looks like in the morning. Maybe you wake up to no alarm when you just feel like it. Maybe you set an alarm so you have a few extra minutes to lay in bed. Instead of fighting the alarm and shutting it off so you get a minute, you could just plan for those few minutes. Lessening resistance to life is a big part of slowing down. And then you might imagine moving through your day with a pace that is comfortable for you. And maybe in the beginning, it's just going to be watching what you're doing. Maybe you prepare some things at night so your mornings are more able to be a slower pace. Setting a slower pace in the morning, a comfortable pace, can set up for a comfortable day with not feeling a need to rush. And you might imagine dropping from your routine things that don't serve you or cause you to lose time. Maybe checking all the media, maybe trying to make last-minute decisions. Or you might replace the ideas of being rushed or busy. Having the idea that everything today will play out in its own time. I can relax and move with it. Or I can trust the timing of the universe. And imagine yourself being in a relaxed body state as you move through your day. And if there's things that you would normally become reactive, perhaps you can think, what I'll do at that moment is sit back and take 3 breaths. It only takes about 10 seconds. But the signal to our nervous system can actually change how we go through whatever we're coming to. Those 3 breaths can change the pace of our body. And lastly, think about how you measure your day. Is it by how much you get done? Could it be how much you relax into the day? That would be a whole different kind of measurement. How you stop to relax your body so it is just relaxing into each next moment. And if you come across a thought like I'm late or I have to hurry, you could go, what is the best pace for things from right here, right now? And then even as you lay down to sleep, give yourself that message that sleep is what you need to be doing, not what you have to be doing, but you want to be doing. It's not taking away from your time during the day, but filling your body with the presence to be with each day. Okay. So the people that are with me live, feel free to take your time and slowly come back. And for those of you watching this later, I hope this was useful for you. And perhaps start a couple of ideas that you might look into to see how you want to be in the world these days. How what your pace is might mix with what the world's pace is. And make some wise choices for yourself. So thank you so much for joining us. If you'd like to leave a comment, make a suggestion, suggest a word for the week, or send a donation, send them all to scientistsage@gmail.com. Thank you for joining us.